Criador de Breaking Bad e Better Call Saul, Vince Gilligan lança sua mais nova série no Apple TV, Pluribus.
Bom dia, Carol. Existe alguma coisa que possamos fazer para te animar?
Na trama que mistura ficção científica com comédia e drama, Carol, interpretada por Rhea Seehorn, é uma mulher totalmente infeliz em um mundo em que todas as pessoas são excessivamente contentes por causa de um vírus que domina todos os seres humanos.
Fique tranquila, Carol. Nós vamos descobrir o que faz você ser diferente.
Descobrir pra quê?
Para você se unir a nós.
Mas... que porra!
E eu conversei com Vince Gilligan e a atriz diretamente de Los Angeles sobre Pluribus. Confira. It's really nice talking to you and congratulations on Pluribus. You did it again.
Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate that.
I wanted to first ask you, after making such great shows like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, what story did you want to tell with Pluribus?
I wanted to tell a different story. I love Breaking Bad and I love Better Call Saul, and they are two shows that'll come first on my in my obituary someday. But I wanted to create something new, and the main reason I was I guess we could have done a Kim Wexler story, but the main reason I wanted to do Pluribus is I wanted to create something for Rhea Seehorn. She's so wonderful, and I wanted the world to know just how good she is. I thought it was high time that Rhea got to be the star of her own TV show.
Posso fazer uma pergunta?
Tá bem, o que gostaria de saber?
Como reverto tudo isso?
And you have such a brilliant mind, and I guess I can say it's safe to say that you set the bar a little bit high, even for yourself. Have you had any concerns about taking this next step with the new show?
Yeah, I'm always concerned when we're doing something new, and I haven't done anything new in 20 years. I mean, that's not true, but I mean, I haven't done, let me word it differently, I haven't done anything outside of the Breaking Bad universe in about 20 years. It's been that long, and I can't believe that, because that's 1/3 of my life. So the idea of doing something brand new is daunting. It makes me nervous, but the one thing I was not nervous about was Rhea. I knew she could handle it, but the rest of it, yeah. Do people want to watch this? Do they want to see something really different? Actually, that part, I don't know if they want to watch this, but I do believe that people want new stuff. I don't think they want the same old stuff. They want something new. And so I felt confident about Rhea. I felt confident about being something new. The rest of it is a crapshoot, as we say. We'll find out.
Nós faríamos qualquer coisa para te deixar feliz.
So Pluribus is really interesting story about like a sci-fi drama, but also a dark comedy, and depicts a world collapsing. What message did you wanted to bring to the audience with this show?
You know, I wasn't thinking so much in terms of message. I was thinking in terms of a character I was interested in, and I was interested in the character of Carol Sturka. I was interested in someone, as we pitched it, the most miserable person on earth trying to save the world from happiness. That interested me. But then when I think about it in hindsight, you know, maybe I was thinking, well, you know, most of all, I just want to entertain the audience, but maybe I was thinking about, you know, the world we live in, the country I live in, the United States, being very like this now. People mad at each other. One side mad at the other, that side's mad at this side, and I keep thinking that's not the way people want to live. People don't want to be at each other's throats all the time. And I don't think it matters politically what side you're on in terms of that. I think everybody can agree that's not how we want to live our lives. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice to show a world where that's not the case? Now, they probably, I don't know, maybe it's up to the viewer. If they take it too far in the other direction on Pluribus, maybe that's way too far in the other direction of everybody getting along, you know. But maybe there's some world we can imagine that's somewhere in the middle.
And also, the two your famous characters, I would say Walter White and Sal, they have they're particular men who has their own complexities and everything, but most of all they're anti-heroes in some way. Yeah. But Carol, she looks like more of a hero. It was that intentional to build this new world, exactly.
Good question. Very much intentional. I had almost 20 wonderful years writing anti-heroes, or you could say villain. I mean, especially with Walter White. He's a bad dude. He's a bad hombre, by the end of the 6 years of the series. But he was fun to write for. I enjoyed writing him. All of us did. Oliver. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what that was. Someone's at the door, I guess. But he was definitely a bad guy. And I enjoyed writing for him, but I think I'm ready. I'm ready to talk about heroes again, write about heroes. I feel like we got a world full of... I think we got a
chaos. Like Pluribus.
Yeah, we got a world full of bad guys now, and I think it's good. It's time again to have some good guys. So, yeah.
Good. And exactly why does Apple TV sounded like the perfect place to launch this new show of Pluribus?
Apple TV, I'd never worked for them before, and I'm really enjoying working with them. The two guys who run Apple TV, the guys, the big bosses I immediately work with are Zach Van Amberg and Jamie Ehrlicht, and as fate would have it, those are the two gentlemen who are the first people to ever say yes to Breaking Bad. That was probably over 20 years ago, and at that time they were kind of mid-level executives at, I don't know if mid-level is the right word, but they were working at Sony Pictures Television, which I also still work with, which has also been a great home to me for about 20 years now. But they moved on in their careers to run Apple TV, but it felt like old home week when I pitched Pluribus to them. I really enjoyed pitching it to them, and I had my fingers crossed that they would want it, and luckily they did, and so it feels like we've come full circle, and we're all back working together, and that makes me happy.
Se eu pedisse agora, vocês me dariam uma granada?
Sim.
E uma bazuca? E que tal tanque?
Com certeza.
And I can say it's a really amazing show. I'm so caught up in it. And it's amazing what you do on screen. But Vince, exactly, you said in the beginning that you wanted to create a show for Rhea. What exactly was Ray the perfect fit for Carol's character?
Ray's a perfect fit for two reasons. Ray can do anything acting-wise. She is... I'm trying to think the right analogy, but it's like watching Tiger Woods play golf. It's just, she makes it look easy, and she can do anything. She can be dramatic, she can be funny, she can make you laugh, she can make you cry. She's very believable in any role that she decides to inhabit. That was one thing. I knew I could count on her. And even then, she's even better in the show than I thought she would be. She's that good. The other thing is, it wasn't so much that I thought Ray would be good for this part. I kind of designed the part for Ray. So I took what I consider to be her strengths, of which she has many, and I kind of tailored the part for her. So it was not so much, gee, I think she'd be good in this role I created. It was more like I created this role just for her.
And nowadays there's a lot of talk about how much the golden age of television has passed. We have so many eras. Do you believe that this kind of affirmation is true in some way?
That the golden age is over?
Yes.
Well... I think there's a lot of golden ages of TV. When I think, it's funny, they did call the time about, 10 to 15 to 20 years ago, they did kind of call that the golden age of television.
Yeah.
Which makes me happy because I got to be part of it.
Part of it.
But when I think of the golden age of television, I think of the 1950s, actually. I think of, everybody has a different name for different eras in history and in their own lives. And when I think of golden age television, I think of shows I love that actually are scattered throughout the decades. I love the Andy Griffith Show. I love Twilight Zone. I love The Honeymooners. I love the X-Files. I was a fan of the X-Files before I was ever a writer for the X-Files. I came to it as a fan. There are so many good shows. I love The Sopranos, and The Sopranos started even earlier than Mad Men and Breaking Bad. The Sopranos and The Shield, two great shows. I don't think Breaking Bad could have existed if those two shows hadn't come first, because I think The Sopranos and then The Shield showed that television had enough flexibility to incorporate a show about a bad guy, about an anti-hero, or just flat out a bad guy could be the protagonist, could be the main character of a show. And I think those two shows proved it before we did. So I think we're always in a golden age. I think, I don't think, I think we've got so many, I'm very optimistic. There's a whole lot of good shows and a whole lot of good movies to come, not just in the United States, but all around the world. And I think that's always going to be the case, provided we always let human beings create content and hopefully don't try to turn it over to a bunch of computers. I don't think audiences would allow that. I hope I'm right on that. But I think, there's always going to be a good show or a good movie coming around the corner.
Oi, Carol. Oi, Carol.
Só queremos que seja feliz.
Hi, I'm Kelly Miyashita from Veja Brazil. It's really nice talking to you, Ray. And congratulations on this amazing show once again.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I wanted to ask you, Ray, Carol is this incredible woman who's just living her life as a writer and talking to all these women, and then the world collapses. How is her journey is going to play out from throughout the episodes?
Well, I mean, I think that you're starting out with this person that was living, that was kind of a misanthrope, and her wife was her buffer, right, to everything in the world, both professionally and personally. So when this giant event happens and changes everything, she loses that buffer to the world, in addition to the love of her life, and then loses everything else, every friend, every family member, career, all of it. And Vince is doing this wonderful thing that psychological sci-fi does so well, is taking this refraction, this prism of what's happened to the world to force us to ask questions about humanity and society from a different perspective. And so Carol is somewhat our conduit for that. Although he does a great job having other characters stand in for, hopefully we inspire conversations. So these other characters, they represent a side of the debate that often I think you could see both sides of what would you do. And then the journey we go on with Carol is she's this ultimate reluctant hero. She absolutely wishes she was not the person that needed to pick herself up off the floor, but she decides that she has to. And she's confronted with a lot of arguments that raise big questions about is what she's doing really fighting the good fight, or not. And the whole time you have this mystery going on and this suspense of trying to figure out what has happened to the world and what will happen in the future. So that's what we go on with her, sometimes breathlessly, sometimes darkly psychologically, but often hilarious as well. Very funny sometimes.
I know as a creation of Vince, of course, a brilliant mind. But as you were playing Carol, you have to build her in a sort of way.
Right.
It makes you wonder, what would you do yourself in this kind of crazy situation?
Sure, yeah. Like there's one of the things that I'm doing with the script analysis and my prep work is asking yourself these the what if questions, the as if questions, the substitute questions, because if you're playing something that you've never experienced, and certainly because of this sci-fi element, none of us has actually been in these situations, you're asking yourself, like, what is something similar or behavior in other humans that you've observed. And there's some that are like giant Pandora's boxes. For instance, grief and grieving. The process of grieving is its own absurdity, and we've all, if you've been there, it feels a little bit like temporary insanity when you're going through it. And so we really wanted to explore that. I was very happy that Vince absolutely agreed that the grief Carol is going through doesn't just end in episode 1 because it's time for us to move on. Like, it is a shadow and a burden and a weight on her throughout the show. So I would ask myself, questions like that, or observe behavior, and you start building these little pieces. And then there were other times where the situation seems so extreme and so absurd, like when she flies to Spain to meet everybody and is trying to find out who could lead the charge, that Carol is our entry point because she's behaving utterly human. All of us have had the experience where the barn is on fire and you're yelling the barn is on fire and everyone else is like, I think it's fine. I think we should just have brunch. And you're like, the barn is on fire! And you're losing your shit. And like that, I loved those moments too, where it's like absurd world, but absolutely human behavior that anybody could identify with. So I look for those things all the time too.
Great. And well, you and Vince come from a long partnership after Better Call Saul. What is so good about working with Vince, especially in this new show?
Everything. He's just he's not only this just incredibly gifted showrunner and writer and director, but on top of that, it's the environments he then puts you in to do the work. They're always challenging. Every script that I get one at a time, I'm like, oh wow, this might be the day everyone finds out that I'm not good enough. Or they're scary sometimes to rise to the occasion. But you're also surrounded with everybody who's top of their game. Whether it's sound, lights, camera, greens, props, costumes, makeup, hair. Like they're just acing it and then challenging themselves to raise the bar higher, I should say. And they expect the same of you, like in a good way. They're there to support you, taking a risk. And having worked at this point, 12 years, I guess, with Vince, there's a beautiful freedom now. Not that I don't get terrified, I do every day, but I feel like I can collaborate with him in a way that I could take risks that even if they end up not being the right choice for the character, I'm not thinking, oh gosh, now I have egg on my face and I've disappointed everyone, which is a burden that a lot of actors, we're constantly worried that they're going to think they made a mistake, that they hired us, that we couldn't pull something off when really we were just trying something. And instead, now I get this lovely opportunity where Vince wanted to try this and I'd try that, and he's like, I don't think that quite works, and then I'd say, why don't we try this, and then together we'd say, like, that doesn't quite work, and we would just find things together and create the character together, which was really fun.
Great. And Ray, I know this Pluribus is a story that is a dystopic universe, I guess, but the world feels like, in the real world, feels like it's collapsing all the time also. Do you think that the series dialogues with the world we live in today?
I think any show is having a dialogue with people watching it from where they're watching it from, not just collectively like what's going on in the world, but anything that you're individually bringing to art. It's the same thing with a great painting or a great song. Like half of the reception of the art is what you brought to it, right? And what you're thinking about. I can tell you that I'm absolutely not being evasive about the questions about certain topical things that people have been asking about, like that it's raising in their mind. I can tell you the absolute truth that Vince he's not writing topically, he's not writing thematically, he's not writing politically. For instance, a lot of people have been thinking about like AI. It existed in the world, but was not the topic it is right now when he first started thinking of this story 8 or 9 years ago. And just sort of wrestling with some questions he wanted to ask about humanity. One of the great things that I think he does, though, regardless of plot in anything he's doing, is at the core of it, it's a story that has questions about the nature of humanity and how we define our humanity, and how you would define yourself in the worst case scenarios, like who are you then? And this one's asking other questions. How do you define happiness? How do you define contentment? I think there's a lot of things in this that we can only be so lucky that they inspire conversations about. And I think some of them will be topical. Some of them will be political. Some of them will be comparisons to religion, AI, everything. But hopefully that allows for conversations that ask you, like, where's the humanity in all of those things?
Os episódios de Pluribus entram no catálogo do Apple TV semanalmente, às sextas, até dia 26 de dezembro. E esse foi o Tela Plana. Até semana que vem.